What's up, guys? Jared here. Before we get started with the show, wanted to let you guys know about a very exciting event that I'm doing with the man right next to me, or this way, Mateus Rosarin. Mateus is a philosophy teacher, a scholar, and a gentleman, and together we are going to be screening and analyzing the 1976 masterpiece Network, directed by Sidney Lumet. This movie is one of the greatest movies ever made, and I don't say that hyperbolically. Director Paul Thomas Anderson, who made There Will Be Blood and Boogie Nights and Magnolia, cites this movie as his favorite movie of all time. It is extremely prescient, extremely captivating, and extremely intelligent. And Mateus has not seen it, and he doesn't even know what it's about, so I can't wait
Yeah,
to
man.
get his reaction.
Dude,
And
really looking forward to it, man.
yeah,
I don't know if everyone knows this. I think not, but I'm a very, I really get interested in like deep, strange movies. Let's see how this one goes. Looking
yeah.
forward to the analysis.
So anyway, it's November 5th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Pacific. There is a link in the description, the Eventbrite link. There is a discount. The regular tickets are $7. There is a link at the top for a $2 discount for $5 tickets. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, November 5th at 7 p.m. Pacific. Remember the 5th of November,
And there
and
we
we hope
go.
to see you there.
The controlled treason.
Anyway, on with the
Yes.
show. What's up, guys? Jared here. So, I've lived in Finland now for coming close to 3 months, and I've got some more thoughts to share. So, right here in my hand, I am holding the only piece of mail I have received in the 3 months I've been here. Now, why do I bring that up? Yes, it's because it's really nice that a lot of things that are normally handled by paper in America are handled digitally here. But more importantly, I freaking hate junk mail. And you don't really get junk mail here, or at least I haven't yet. Now, why is this important? Well, it's something in a line of things that I've seen here in Finland that I think overall is reducing my level of anxiety. Specifically, it's nice that whenever I go to the mailbox, I'm not assaulted with advertisements. Because advertising is trying to produce desire in you. It is the production of desire. When you go to downtown Helsinki, it does not look like downtown New York. There are very few advertisements on buildings, very few billboards. Being in a place that really values nature and is very critical of efforts to obscure nature with advertising has actually had a pretty significant effect on my mental health. And I think before I moved here, I would have been very skeptical about how much that would actually do to change what the day-to-day disposition of my life. But I gotta say, not being constantly surrounded by desire provoking images really does have an effect on you for a while. Another thing that lessens this constant feeling of desire is that there's not really a culture of flexing here in Finland. First of all, people are generally very modest with the attire that they wear. That's not to say that people don't have very showy senses of style. They do, but it's very rare that people are there to show how much money they have by wearing it. For example, there is no Tiffany jewelry store here in Helsinki, even though it's the most expensive city to live in the Europe area. Now, why? Because there just isn't a market for people who want expensive showpieces of their class. And that brings me to another thing, is that there isn't class anxiety here. I mean, there is. Of course, there's always going to be class anxiety where there isn't like absolute egalitarian communism, which is not something that anyone I know wants. I mean, I have not seen a single convertible since I've been here. Showing off how much money you make isn't really a thing here. But the point is that the discrepancies between the amount of money that people make is much less here. If you make over $100,000 a year in Finland, it's published publicly. It's not just that advertising follows you everywhere in America, on the bus, in the metro, on billboards, on the sides of buildings, in your mail. And it's not just that people wear how much money they make on their clothes, on their cars, on their jewelry that produces the most anxiety or the most significant anxiety, but also the fact that just without a social safety net in America, money is freedom. On this channel, I've been very critical of Hollywood culture and the whole entertainment culture that surrounds living in Los Angeles. And I think that some of the most disgusting excesses that I've criticized are partly due to the fact that there's no social safety net. So many people have gone into tremendous amounts of debt to pursue a career in entertainment, as well as a variety of other fields. And when the ugly reality of a 99% failure rate hits these people, they are willing to do anything to make some kind of career progress. Now, what kind of behavior am I talking about? Well, yes, cancellation is obvious, but sometimes it means just like prostituting your ancestors' pain and rebranding yourself as a moral comedy activist in order to culturally blackmail people into believing that there's a moral imperative to hire you. That kind of stuff is gross, disgusting, and you know what really bothers me about it is that I've seen a lot of really talented people do it, and they don't need to stoop to that level. They're funny without being a victim. Sometimes it's interpreting something that someone says in the most uncharitable way possible in order to capitalize on the clout that comes with canceling someone. And again, I'll say, as gross as this behavior is, I don't blame them. What else are they going to do? I mean, if they want to change careers, they just have to go back to school, which means paying more money, which means going into more debt. That doesn't seem like the smartest thing to do, because who wants to be in more debt if the debt you already have is crippling you? Whereas in Finland, they will pay you to go back to school. The government will pay you to go back to school. Now, you may be thinking that, yeah, well, the government maybe pays you to get an education, but there's a huge trade-off because the taxes are so bad. And yeah, the taxes are high, but, and I'm not kidding here, I am paying the same tax rate that I was in Los Angeles when you include federal and state income tax. And yeah, I'm making a lot less money than I did when I was in America, but when you consider how much I'm getting from it, I mean, I'm literally getting clean roads, no horrible poverty on the streets, and free health care for the same percentage of money, whereas in Los Angeles, I got none of that. Anyway. This whole thing has been making me think a lot about the term grifter, which is something that people have actually, well, not a lot of people, but, some of the haters have been telling me that I'm a grifter because I think Dave Chappelle is funny. Now, usually a grifter means that you're swindling money out of somebody or that you're defrauding people, but in the world of influencers, it's kind of taken on a new meaning, and that is that you are expressing an opinion that you don't actually believe or that does not actually reflect your authentic passions, but you're actually just doing it for money. Now, I find this term to be a little bit ridiculous, and I think it's actually something that's rather unfairly just leveled at people on the internet. I mean, if the way you make money has to be in line with your authentic worldview in order to not be a grifter, then 99% of lawyers are grifters, and most of doctors and bankers are too. And in a sense, I'm not blaming these people for being like that. Whether you're a scumbag lawyer or you're someone on the internet who basically just feeds the fire of the culture divide for a nice paycheck, I'm sympathetic. I don't blame you, because in America, money can be the difference between being healthy and being sick, between debt slavery and stability, between the privilege of expressing your real self and being stifled by corporate conformity. In that kind of environment, we're all grifters. Now, I just want to say that's not to say that Finland is perfect. There are some cultural elements that I've experienced here that I'm a little less than enthusiastic about. For example, one of the first Finns that I met told me early on that Finns really like to follow the rules. Now, when I first heard that, I said to myself, well, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. If the rules are good, then there's no problem with following them. Now, granted, I was also born in Texas, and Texans are a little less passionate about following the rules, and I didn't really think this would be a problem until recently. My psychiatrist has refused to help me get my antidepressants here because they're not sold in Europe, and it's against the rules for him to enable anyone to import medicine that is not legally sold in the country. Now, I've asked him to help me out, to get creative. Maybe he can call up a university outside of Europe and ask a colleague if he can mail it to me. Or maybe he can just figure out a way for my mother to send it to me through the mail and actually protect the mail because, he's a doctor and he can probably come up with unique ways to allow the mail to come to him without being stopped by customs. Point is, he's got some power that he could flex, but instead, he has just simply said over and over that it's against the rules and he can't help me. Now, for those of you who have been on antidepressants, you know how dangerous it is to be without them, to not have source to them. I mean, if you go cold turkey off these things, you can go to the freaking hospital. So what's happening? Well, literally, a friend of mine is flying here, paying a ridiculously expensive plane ticket to hand me my medication. So, as far as Finn's following the rules, I mean, I'm not saying that all of them need to be like Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment and believe that they are above the rules and really only answer to their own moral compass, but I mean, in some ways we should aspire to that, and honestly, the only rule that I care that my psychiatrist conform to is the Hippocratic Oath, and I've even told him that to his face, and he hates me now, but what are you going to do? Anyway, guys, that's it for today. I will have more content coming soon about Finland. Maybe I can get to show you guys some of the great nature. I've also got an interview coming up with a friend of mine who's canceled. That's finally coming up either this week or next week, as well as I've actually been watching a lot of Finnish movies, which have been quite interesting. And I don't think I'd ever seen a Finnish movie before moving here. So for those of you who are following me that are big film buffs, you're definitely going to hear my reviews of which Finnish movies to watch and which ones to skip. So, until next time, guys, peace. Before you go, just a reminder, November 5th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we are showing the Masterpiece Network. If you haven't seen it, trust me, it's worth it. Join us for our live showing and our live analysis. Link is in the description. Hope to see you there.
Hope to see you guys there. Cheers.
Peace.